I used to run marketing for Pepsi-Cola Company. And when I was there, we launched our first water brand. It's Aquafina, pretty traditional. And then here you are, you've got a canned water, liquid death. Now, you know how to break through the clutter. There's no question about it. I am boring. You are exciting. What is it about you that got you into this mode where you could really break through the clutter and think differently?
Well, yeah, I think it's breaking through, especially as a new small brand, is a necessity. I mean, Aquafina is a great example. I mean, Aquafina currently is doing like $1 billion in sales, selling a water for whatever it might be, $1.59. There's no other company who can make money selling a 20-ounce water for $1.59 because Pepsi owns the supply chain and all the scale and efficiency. So you have to come in price higher or you would just run out of money in like 3 weeks. So how do you compete with the big guys who can price everything at this price that nobody else could do? You've got to be premium. And then what is required of a brand to get people to actually pay a premium? And I think people can understand it easier in the world of fashion than they can in food and beverage. Like most people can understand why Nike can charge so much more than, let's say, Skechers. It's not because of the quality. No one believes that Nikes last 49 days longer than Skechers. It's emotional when it comes to brand and premium and that kind of thing. And it goes far beyond just the functional differences between the products.
Yeah, absolutely. And, but I love what you've done with Liquid Death. As a marketing person, you have truly broken through the clutter. There's no question about it. And when you have a name like Liquid Death, it's controversial. And I understand you actually get some hate mail, but you've actually taken that hate mail and you've had a lot of fun with it, with your customers. You've turned it into actual music tracks and you've got an album on Spotify. Tell me the story behind that.
I recently did an interview with one of my creative idols, Rick Rubin, the famous music producer who's produced everything from Jay-Z to Slayer to the Beastie Boys. And he had a really good quote where he says, especially in music and entertainment, all great work divides the audience. Anything that's been truly great and a big hit, there are people that love it more than anything, and there are also people that hate it. It's kind of not possible to just have every single person in the world love something. You can have everybody in the world not really care that much either way about something. But to have people who truly love something, by almost definition, you have to have some people that really don't like it. So with a brand like Liquid Death, there's that small group of people that tend to be the loudest on social media. I think what we've seen in social, the average person, like probably you or I, are casual observers of social media. You're looking at the circus, but you're not really getting super engaged in it. You're not leaving tons of comments on every post. But the small fringes of people, they're the ones who are actually writing the comments and leaving the posts, so they're more vocal. But when we saw some of those folks in the early days that just really didn't like Liquid Death, we're like, hey, let's find a funny way to show that basically this doesn't bother us, because we know when you have a post that has 20,000 likes and then 5 angry comments, I'll take that ratio of 20,000 to 5 all day, every day, right? So right. It's in a way, and I think this is true with regular people, like kids who are on social media, people like they can let it get to them emotionally if someone's saying something negative about them on social media. And I think people have to remember, like, hey, that's just one comment. Like that, they don't represent the masses of people. The masses of people just don't say anything. It's the small fringes that are vocal, and you have to be able to like let that roll off you a little easier. Like, don't take it to heart. And I think that was a bigger thing happening in culture, and that's why we wanted to lean into that. So we said, hey, rather than be afraid of it, let's embrace it. So we took all of the or a bunch of the funniest negative hate comments that we got on social, and we turned them into lyrics for an actual music album that we had legitimate musicians write, record, and produce. So it's actually legitimate songs, but the lyrics are just these ridiculous, worst name for a water company, and all these kind of hate comments that we got on social. And the first album we did was a metal album. That did really well. We pressed the album on vinyl records that we sold out of. Then we did a punk album. That did really well. And then most recently, last year, we did this like 80s female power pop album that kind of sounded like Madonna. And then that did really well. So yeah, it's kind of become this cool thing that we sort of just keep building on, that people love.
Yeah. Well, I think track 3 on your original Spotify album was Fire Your Marketing Guy, which I love. And when did you first learn the importance of not taking yourself too seriously?
I think I've always been that way since a kid. My dad's a really funny, kind of joke cracking kind of guy. And, we didn't take a lot of things super seriously in our house. Like we were always watching comedies. And so I was always about humor and sort of, like just not taking the world too seriously, which, I learned a lot from my father. And I've just been able to kind of incorporate that into the brand. And especially now, I think in a world that, especially over the last several years, I think most people would agree the world kind of started taking itself a little too seriously. And there was a period where so much comedy was off limits and comedians they're so worried about what you're allowed to joke about and not joke about. So I think it was just kind of the right time to have, a brand come along that's sort of reminding people like, hey, like, let's laugh a little more. Like, let's not take things so seriously.